Guyz is inside here. TMG Pits, aka the Metal Guyz, to pick up my smoker today. But just wanted to do a quick Q&A with Brandon so you guys can get to know the Metal Guyz and what they do here. They're located in Knoxville, which is really convenient for me. I live about 10 minutes from here. It's one reason we chose to work with these guys, but there's many reasons that I think you should and that we recommend them. So Brandon, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the smoker today, but first of all, can you guys talk about just a little bit about how you got started, how you got into smokers, because I know you do a lot of different things, and it's quite an interesting story. So yeah, talk a little bit about that and how you got into it.
Well, we got started back in 15 doing custom fabrication and making metal signs. We got 2 CNC plasma tables that we run just about all day, and so for the last 4 or 5 years we've been doing custom fabrication. We also did custom truck beds for like the landscape industry. And I don't know, about 6-8 months ago, Corona hit, and signs slowed really slow, and it was kind of do or die at that point.
Yeah.
And so we got into smokers because we've had requests year after year after year. Built a few for some friends of ours, and believe it or not, those actually sold to just random people walking in the doors before we even got them done.
Is that on the road almost?
Yeah.
Type of scenario.
Yeah. And so from there, we're like, you know what? I think we got something. We try to do one-off stuff, you know, not that you haven't seen out yet. Custom, whether it's trailers or whether it's the off-road packages. You know, we just try to think outside the box a little and do stuff a little different.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So, you know, you mentioned the Corona because a lot of businesses have had to adapt and do different things and kind of get into smokers. But I mean, you've always been into smoking, into that kind of stuff, and it was just, like you said, more of a whim. You got into it. What do you think? You know, and obviously we're in a lot of the online forums, so you get a lot of questions from different people who are looking at different companies like I was. So, you know, I looked around for several months, and you and I just kind of happened to find each other and started talking about it. So it's not even necessarily, we didn't even really know you were local, but, you know, when people are looking around for a custom smoker, it's a lot of money, that kind of thing. What do you think are some of the important things that they should look for when they're looking for somebody to build their smoker? Because everybody's like, well, I want somebody close to me, I want something that's cheap, you know, that kind of thing. So what do you think are 3 or 4 things that are most important somebody should look for?
Well, obviously, if you have a guy right down the street, you know, everyone's going to say shop local, and we can agree with that. Shipping is expensive on a smoker like this. But really when it comes down to it, I would look for, make sure it's good quality steel, okay? Yeah. So you're not going to want a smoker built out of 1/8 inch or 3/16. We're going to use 1/4, 5/16 or bigger. Obviously, everything's fully welded. You want to look for good tight fits.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's something we do a little different. I can't tell you how many times we've built something, kind of halfway done, and you know what, it don't look right.
Yeah.
We don't like it. And your smoker is kind of a perfect example of that. When it comes to the firebox, we had a firebox measured out. Look, by measurements and calculations, it was fine. So put it up here, and we just didn't like the way it looked. So we took it and scrapped the whole firebox, and I know I had sent you a picture of it already.
Yeah.
And said, you know what, this is the firebox we built for it, but we don't like it. So we're going to cut it off. We're going to do it again, and I think it turned out a lot better for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're looking for a smoker, you're going to want to think about your needs. What are you going to cook on average? Are you going to cook 1 brisket, 1 butt, or are you going to cook for 30 people, 100 people, 200 people?
Yeah.
Are you going to be trailering a lot? If so, you probably look for a trailer model. If you think you're going to be out on the road, whether it's a food truck or catering, however you're going to do it. If it's just your backyard model, you can potentially get away with just casters if you have a concrete area, or you may want to upgrade to some kind of off-road package. Mm-hmm. So that's something, because you know these do weigh a lot. They're not easy to move.
I can vouch for that. Yes.
So
even being bigger guy, it's hard. They're hard to push around. One thing I think, and you brought up there 2 really good points, is you know, with the firebox, I was telling you earlier, I think somebody who's maybe less experienced or less attention to detail may have just glossed over it, said, you know what, we're going to roll with that, and that could end up being a huge mistake. I think, you know, when it comes to, obviously the heat distribution on this smoker is we were tested the other day within 1 degree. I mean, averaging probably about 2 to 3 degrees, and that, you know, if the firebox had been done differently, that would have been a huge mistake. But you know, you brought up a good point as far as business applications. So when I first came to you, I know, and there's been different people that have come to you that, you know, have changed a lot of things in the middle of the process. But I really want to have a propane tank smoker built, but after talking with you and kind of talking through what our business is, and we're looking to ramp a business up. So what I wanted to do was be able to use this for my personal use and then transition it into business. And so this ended up being a perfect type of thing for me. But, I think you bring up a good point in that a lot of people, for example, this one on the left is super functional. It's a great showpiece too, so this is for a business going to have it out in front. I was looking more for something like a workhorse, something that's just going to kind of give you that traditional look. And these two really couldn't be more different in terms of what you can build, but just the versatility that you guys have to build these is excellent. If somebody's shopping, looking at TMG Pits versus, let's say, somebody, like a Lang or the guys down in Texas or a workhorse pit, I know there's some differences, but maybe talk about that. I know one thing for me that was a good selling point is what's included. So what's included in the cost versus where I started ticking through and looking at some other things. I was like, wow, I'm getting charged for a paper towel holder. It's $100. I'm like, that's important. So talk a little bit about if I'm going to come to TMG Pits, what I'm getting for my money maybe versus somewhere else.
Well, there's a lot of good smokers out there. I'm not going to talk bad about any other brand.
All good
guy. There's a lot of guys out there that do a good job. But you're right when it comes to kind of our base model, what's included.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, they may have one stationary slide out.
Correct. And then charge you for the second rack.
Charge you for the second rack.
Yeah.
You're going to get two. Smoker, you get a slide out. It doesn't cost that much. A little bit extra time.
Right.
But it makes it look nice and function well.
Yeah.
Like you said, we do throw in a lot of stuff. If you'll call us, let us know what you want.
Yeah.
We'll give you the best quote possible. Obviously, we have some prices up on our website just to get the general idea. But if you'll call and talk to us, we'll work that fit out for you.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like the slick wheels over there, and I think I ended up changing wheels on you a little bit, where it was actually really affordable. I looked at it and I was like, oh man, this may end up costing me money. But and that's important to stick to a budget. But I think there's certain things. One thing that I like, with you guys, you're like, no, I think you should do this because, looking at your business or looking at what you're trying to do, this is important. For example, we've talked about. I didn't go with the rib box on mine, but they actually built it to where I can add that later.
Well, that was something you were really concerned with, the size and what you're going to do down the road.
Right.
So it's like by doing it this way, we eventually could add on this box, or now that your firebox is bigger, it'll probably be a little bit bigger box.
Yeah.
But we wanted to leave that option open, so if you do grow and continue on, that we can get this. Because realistically, this box right here will hold just about what this right here will hold on this smoker.
Yeah.
Because there is 5 racks in these upright boxes here. So there's a lot of cook space in there too.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and again it's just a different configuration. But these two are kind of going to have the same space. It's an interesting. We always hear about reverse flow versus traditional. I think one thing that's interesting to me when I came to you is that I have a very specific type of business, type of cooking we're looking at. It's more that Texas style, more that true offset. And so we kind of talked through both of those things. But it's amazing they were able to build me a product that still is going to get the type of heat retention and the type of temperature across the grate, which is so important. Even though looking at a traditional offset. As far as anything else that I know TMG is growing like crazy, and I would just say my experience has been really positive. These guys are super responsive when it comes to these type of things, and answering questions and that kind of stuff. They love you to come see them in person.
Yeah, everyone's always welcome to stop by the shop. We're usually here 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But obviously we're going to be here Monday through Friday. But it's crazy right now.
Yeah.
And you did hit on something real quick, because this is a question that gets asked 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Traditional flow versus the reverse flow.
Yeah.
We can make any smoker either way.
Yeah.
Okay. All it is a slight design change. We need to know early on, so before we weld the end plates on, where to put the holes for the stacks. But realistically, either way, like you said, we had most of the day cooking last week on this. We had a 2 to 3 degree difference across the grates. Obviously, the top grates are a little bit hotter, but even from side to side, very, very little. Same with this smoker behind us. So your style is the traditional. You want a traditional flow. I remember the very first time I talked to you, say, I want a traditional flow. I do Texas style barbecue. This is what I want to do. Here's my overall plan. You did say, I want a propane tank.
Yep.
You know, and maybe down the road we can get you to a propane tank.
Yeah.
But for right now, it just made more sense to go this route with the possibility of adding the hot box on later.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about an insulated box also.
We did, yeah. That was a big thing that we labored over. So there were really two things that we labored over was the insulated box. And one thing I think is really cool about this smoker, mine right here, is that this is actually, and Brandon can talk about it more, made from old Texas oil pipe.
It is.
I mean, so when you're talking about trying to be authentic and you're talking about the way, you know, if you want that upscale barbecue and that upscale story, which I think so many people now that are getting into this gourmet and craft barbecue, that story is just, you know, seeing the pit, seeing what it looks like, that story behind it, how you make it, where it came from. I mean, that to me, that was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's having this old oil pipeline. You know, when people come to your house or people come to you, take your smoker out and you're doing business, you can say to people, hey, you know, this is the real deal. I'm not cooking on some, you know, half propane assist cooker that's sitting out back, you know, hidden from view. We want to be able to show these things off. And TMG makes some really good show pieces. You know, that's what I really like about it.
And that's one thing from day one, being that we were in the custom sign business, we wanted to make cool signs. We've made a lot of one-off business signs, you know, multiple layers, different colors, powder coated. So really on the artistic side of it, we want to build a smoker that looks good, that you're proud of, that you see our welds on. If we make a mistake, the smoker has not been sandblasted or painted, it's been just cleared, you're going to see the mistake.
Absolutely.
But you're also going to see everything else too. You know, and so we really want it to be a showpiece or art piece on top of smoking weld.
I think, you know, a lot of people, we were just talking about that with a clear coat, and I like the blends and then the imperfections, and you know, as you get into some even the high end, like the propane tanks, you know, you want to be able to see, it's almost like a metal piece of art in a way, like you said, and you know, you see a lot of those that are out there roll around with, you know, black paint jobs, can't see the welds, they don't have kind of that artistic look to it, and that's one thing that I really like about, whether it's this more traditional style or your copperhead. Talk a little bit about, because people ask about the capacity, so that we got a lot of posts about the capacity of this one versus the copperhead. You were just mentioning, you know what, they're kind of the same, but they look different. Octagon versus round, is that just a matter of personal preference? Is one cook better? Is one going to be more effective in storage or in capacity? What's your opinion on that?
When it comes to the Octagon, which is our Copperhead series, or the Round Pipe, which is our Heritage series, because of how the Octagon is designed, you have more height in this area where this is round and you lose that. So you get a little bit extra room on your grate right here, as far as even in depth. And you have more height in here. Is that going to affect your overall cook? No, it's not. It's going to be a matter of personal preference, what you like. Obviously, these are more expensive. There's a lot more fabrication compared to us buying this pipe and cutting it, or even if we had a piece of plate roll. So a lot more custom fabrication in these, and so it's really just personal preference when it comes to that. And everyone asks, how many ribs can I get on this? How many butts? How many briskets? 3 weeks ago, I cooked a 12-pound butt. The week before that, it was a 7-pound butt. So it's like, that's kind of a loaded question every time. So usually I'll just send pictures back and say, hey, here's our smokers in action. You know, this one was loaded down with 16 racks of ribs, just flat laid out. And this one had butts in it. Because it really is a loaded question on what is what, because weight always makes a difference.
When we were talking about that, I mean, with this particular pit, I'm doing, for example, we've already done the burn-in, but to first cook today is just a pork. It's like an 8 to 10 pound pork butt. But you could literally scale your business up. I think we were talking earlier, we estimated about 16 briskets on this one, 32 pork butts. I mean, so you're talking about, this is so versatile, you know, and you can cook. Even last week, I mean, just the rate of fuel we were adding was not much more. I have an Old Country Pecos, which is, by all means, it's a good store-bought smoker. Not nearly, you know, as good as this, but just the rate of wood that we're actually going to be adding to this one is not that much more in the long run. So my cost for fuel is not going to go up that much because of the efficiency of these large smokers. And so I think a lot of people get into this and they're like, you know, my hand over my head, can I manage a fire in here? Fire management in these large smokers or the large fireboxes actually, for me, is much easier, I think. You can build a good fire. You don't have to worry about temps getting out of control, that kind of stuff. So, you know, I know you've had people everywhere from experienced smokers who are just running a business to you've had somebody who had never even run an offset before. And, you know, that's a big buy for them. So I think that you know, across the board, it seems like you got everything for, and even getting into the fire pits now, the direct fire pits is a super cool product. And, you know, like I said, I think that those are, for your business, that's been an awesome thing to see. It's just the variety of people that come to you.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, we've had guys that have been catering for years and have a 400-gallon pit and said, hey, you know what, there's times I don't need to fire up my 400-gallon pit. I'm just smoking for a small occasion. And, you know, and you see them post up every day, and they're still you know, still on Irish smokers now. And then you have the guy that says, you know what, I saw a friend cooking with a smoker and I want to try it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's been very interesting, because that's two separate crowds there.
Yeah.
You know, and you always worry, you know, is someone doing something wrong or right? You know, then you get that call, which is still, we'll call and talk all day, and anything that arises. So yeah, and then going back real quick, because you mentioned something on the clear coat and the aspect of this. I don't even know if you've noticed this, but we have a grinder that has a straight finish on it that spins. So we actually ground or sanded all the fenders to make it just a different look. So it's not swirl look; it's a straight grain finish on that on the fender, just and then clear
almost like a brushed aluminum.
It's like a brushed aluminum,
just the minor details that y'all go through, I think, is just something that I don't see everybody do. You know, and high end pits are not cheap, and I think when you look at something, you want to kind of see where your money is. You know, obviously the end result, how it cooks, is all that really matters. But
we want it to look good too.
We want it to look good too. Yeah, like I said, I mean, these are more, and I'm towing this thing home today, but I think you've driven them in and around deliveries and stuff. And you probably get questions, stop and get gas, you know, that kind of. Hey,
I've taken this up to the store. You don't know that, but before I'm going to let you go down the street with it, I'm going to go test it. I'm going to hit potholes in it, make sure we got everything lined up and done right.
Right.
And so
you'll get a lot of questions on them. So where, just kind of wrap up a little bit, where can people find you, one, and what's the best way to get in touch with you? And, going from, I know people ask about lead time, that kind of stuff. So tell a little bit, out of the box versus custom, how long approximately it takes, and then where they can find you and that kind of information.
Right now, it depends. I mean, we obviously, inside the shop right now, we have a few that we were starting to build for stock.
Yeah.
Obviously, we sold all those yesterday. So it's like every time we start to build a stock unit, it sells.
Yeah.
But usually we're 3 to 5 weeks out.
Yeah.
Anywhere in there. Obviously, the more you add on, the longer the build time takes.
Mm-hmm.
Just look on the yard right here. I got 252 smoke chambers bent. We try to keep a lot of stuff in stock.
Yeah.
One issue we have ran into, and there's nothing I can do about this, is COVID has really messed up the wheel market and the spindle market.
Thermometers as
well. So that's added sometimes. I've had smokers sitting here for a week waiting on parts, and so hopefully 3 to 5 weeks. As far as getting a hold of us, you can look us up on Facebook at TMG Pits. You can go to www.tmgpits.com.
Yeah.
You can send us an email through either location, or a message online. If I don't get back to you in the middle of the day, it's because we're probably in here working and welding. Usually by midnight, I try to get everybody answered back, and get back with everybody.
Brandon is super responsive. He'll pick up the phone and call you if he's got a question. That's one thing I like, whether it's in the business I'm in now or dealing with people, it's like, people call me, and I like to be able to talk to the person that's doing my work, and they'll send pictures and photos of updates of how things are going, let you know. I think the biggest thing is let you know an honest opinion of when it's going to be done. And I think, when we started this project, you said it'd be about 5 to 6 weeks. It was end of September, that we actually get it started, and it pretty much nailed their time. And that's one thing that was important for me, because looking at some of the other manufacturers, I mean, we're hearing the backlogs of 3, 4, 5 months even on some of them. But y'all are obviously a smaller shop than some of those, which is both a good and a bad thing, when it comes to production, because it's you and Hayes doing a lot of the work yourselves. But that's a great thing because of just the attention to detail and all that we're looking for. But yeah, TMG Pits, check them out. Like I said, I looked around a long time. These guys did a fantastic job. We're taking it home today. Hopefully we'll continue to get some videos out on it, kind of show you what it looks like from a capacity standpoint, some cooks that come off to it. But Brandon, thanks for letting us do this. I hope it's some good information for everybody out there.
Yeah, and obviously thank you for the order, and thank you for setting this up. And it's been a blast. We've had a fun time building this one.
It won't be the last one, we don't think. We hope that there's more out there that we can do business with these guys, and there's some other projects. So not just smokers, but other things that we're looking at doing. So awesome. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it.